Pleasant good evening to all of you. Those of you who may not be Dominicans, but you are listening on in the region or even further afield, it's a pleasure to have you on board here this evening. For those of you who may be new to this program is aired each and every Saturday from just about that time, 6 o'clock Eastern Caribbean time, where we speak primarily things about country, where we speak about justice, where we speak about wholesome things that can really add some value to our lives as we're moving on, and also anything and everything that is positive. Like as well in life, there are negatives, there are positives, and there are in-betweens as well. So on this program, we normally touch on the negatives and in-betweens as well. And so wherever the chips fall, then let them be, all right? But in a nutshell, folks, that is a wholesome program, and we always try to help build ourselves, build our communities, build our country. And so that's primarily the gist of what we do here each and every Saturday. Tonight being the 30th night of March 2024, we can basically say that March is gone, March is no more. And so we are looking at April as a brand new month. For those of you celebrating Easter, those of you who believe in the risen Christ, I want to say a special good evening to all of you at this time, those of you who are celebrating that situation as well. All right, I know, for example, there are some of you don't, and so a special good evening to you as well. All right, yeah, we can't force anything on anybody, but that is the time that Catholics primarily around the world celebrate that time. It is said that is the time, around that time, the Christ, he lived, he died for a reason, and was resurrected. So if you're one of those who are in this celebratory mood at this time, thank you very much. And as well, those of you who don't believe, it's also your belief as well. All right. So yes, we are ready to go in just a bit. For the number of you already here on the live feed, thank you very much. What I often normally say around that time, please share that information. Let someone know, let your friend know, let someone know that that program is on, and they too can be part and parcel of that all-important program here this evening. This evening is going to be another very interesting program in terms of information, and of course some entertainment at the end. But you know how it is. We normally like to keep things at or in a particular order, as we always strive to maintain that bar, maintain a very high bar as it pertains to the information. All right, for the many folks, countless folks who normally meet me on the highways, on the byways, wherever it is, in the communities, wherever we meet, and we say, Lofty, I'm listening, I'm locked each and every Saturday and Sunday. Thank you very much for your remarks in that regard, and also thank you for viewing as well. All right, that is part of the fuel that keeps me going, and so I want to thank you very much for that in a very big way. To the sick and shorting among us, those who are bedridden, those who are sick, whatever type of sickness you may be going through at this time, I just ask that even in this time, and then healing will be yours. So whatever type of healing you need at this time, that healing be yours. All right. We know that there are many folks who are struggling, many folks who cannot make it at this time because of certain predicaments, certain situations in life. But as they say, that is all part of life. And so in a twinkle of an eye, things can change. All right. So you have to keep hope alive. All right. That is one of the primary reasons for living, is we all live in hope, knowing that one day our situation just can make a turn for the better. All right. And even if it means it make a turn for the worse, then as I said before, those of you who believe in that Christ, then he holds everything, as the good book says, in a particular order. And so everything is designed and ordained by him. All right, folks, we're going to start with at least one or two international matters here, just before we go into more domestic issues. We're going to start with a situation that have been haunting us for some time in terms of the search for this flight that gone missing all the way back in 2014. So we're going to touch on that in just a bit. But as well, breaking today as well, we heard the President of America basically said tomorrow, Sunday, Easter Sunday, he dubbed it the Visibility Day. All right, the Visibility Day, and that is all geared at persons who are trans, persons who are transgender. So Brother Biden, President of America, made an announcement today. I even think he signed something today that basically speaks to that kind of agenda. And so I'll be reading at least something that he signed today. You can go online and look him up in terms of his utterances. I know it's a very controversial topic, but what we do here, we always speak to the facts. And so you may not like it, but at the end of the day, it doesn't mean if you don't like something, at least you cannot listen and learn. That doesn't mean what you learn you have to practice. To all man his own, to all woman their own, and so that is how we roll here. All right. So we'll be getting into that in terms of a read up in just a bit. But trust me, folks, that has been and continues to be an agenda that is, taking steam as it were across the globe. And so we in Dominica, we in the region, we are not immune to situations like this. A matter of fact, we have right here in our very own Dominica persons who are fighting vigorously, that is, for that kind of right. And so as it pertains to human rights, it is their right. So, the conversation goes on. As I said before, Dominicans, there most likely will be a renewed search, in terms of that MH370 flight that gone missing all the way back in 2014. Once the Malaysian authority, because it was a Malaysian controlled flight, once they give that sort of green light, as it were, then there are persons willing, experts willing and ready to get back into the suspected area in terms of that flight, meeting its demise, whether by accident or whether as it pertains to someone deliberate action. That search, most likely, based on what I'm hearing, will continue. And so to the 239 persons on board at the time, that's a whole lot of people to be on a plane, and basically vanished from the surface of the earth. At least their family, their relatives, want some kind of closure. And it is in that quest that I believe that search should continue. All right. So yes, folks, those of you are there, share that live. Please make someone know that you are listening and attending to that program as well. All right. After we have basically, couch out the international arena, then based on my scouting out in the region, St. Vincent is an island of note that I just want to bring a line or two in terms of the new investment as it pertains to a hotel, brand name hotel that opened up in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Sandals, yes. That 5-star hotel opened up their doors rather in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And so the people over there, the government over there, they are in sort of celebration mode, because much more in terms of the buoyancy of the economy is on the cards. This brother from Jamaica, who is the manager of that hotel, he had much to say, and other persons in that field had much to say in terms of St. Vincent and the Grenadines under the stewardship of Ralph Gonzalez and his son primarily, letting their people have, at least some of the pie as it pertains to what is going on here. All right. Celia King is saying there's an echo. Well, Celia, I really don't know what is happening in terms of you hearing that echo, but from my end, everything is perfect from my end, so you would have to check your listening device or check what is giving you that reverb, all right? But from my end, it is perfectly okay. But thanks for that note, Celia King, nonetheless, all right? Yes, and as I said, we'll be getting into some domestic matters soon, so you guys just stay tuned for what is ahead. But first up, people, let me just read to you guys. Let me just read to you guys a communique that came out of Washington earlier today, where the sitting president, Brother Biden, said this about making tomorrow, yes, be focused on the central focus on the people who choose to go down the path of being transgender, all right? And the write-up says here, just in case you don't know, it says from the White House, it says, now, therefore, I, Joseph Biden Jr., President of the United States of America, by virtue of the authority vested in me by the Constitution and laws of the United States, do hereby proclaim March 31st, 2024, that is tomorrow, as Transgender Day of Visibility. I call upon all Americans to join us in lifting up the lives and voices of transgender people throughout our nation and to work towards eliminating violence and discrimination based on gender identity. The last paragraph reads, in witness thereof, I have hereunto set my hand this 29th day of March in the year of our Lord 2024 and of the independence of the United States of America, the 240th, and it is signed by Mr. Joe Biden, who is the President of America. All right. So there's much to talk about that, but we will not make that the central focus of our discussion tonight, but just to give you that piece of information in terms of that day tomorrow is set aside by America as making the people who subscribe to the transgender or the LGBT philosophy or their way of life. Tomorrow there will be much more, or there will be much more visibility as it pertains to these people, and that was unctioned from right on top in terms of the proclamation by Mr. Joe Biden himself. All right, folks. So at least that is that situation over there. As I said before, we are facing our own situation here. But in a nutshell, as we deviate from there, it is what most persons are highlighting. It is the discrimination, it is the violence, it is the homophobic behavior or attitudes, the abuse that goes along for these people or around these people or towards these people. As I said before, you may not subscribe to that type of life or that type of living, but it is their human right to do whatever they want with their body. I think it is also our rights as well, those of us who don't prescribe to that kind of life, to also not be caught up or not be put into that situation where we are forced to acquiesce, as it were, to certain practices or principles or doings or operations of these people. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. All right. I know if we stick on that topic there, then we will be opening a whole can of worms, as it were. But as I said, that was just for the information aspect of it, and so we have to move on indeed. All right. Finally, knowing fully well that we also heard the man who sits in the chair as Prime Minister, Roosevelt Skerrit, made utterances, 2 months back, re-signing some document pointing in that regard as well. So, you know, it is right there on our doorsteps, and so by not talking about it, that doesn't mean it may not affect us in one way, shape, or form. All right? Indeed. All right. Yeah, very, very interesting. Dominicans, let's move from there. There was, as I said, in 2014, March 8th to be precise, a flight that originated from Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia and was en route to China, Beijing, China. Left that airport about, what was it? Just after midnight. And everything was okay, weather-wise, you know, everything seemed to be okay until about 12:40 thereabout, and the operators on the ground, basically from Malaysia's end, just that plane just went dark. They could not see it. They did not have an idea where it went to. You know, it just went really, really dark. It is said that they thought, the Malaysia operators thought that at that particular spot, it was supposed to be greeted or handed over to Vietnam airspace. So it was that little space right there in time, leaving Malaysia's airspace, entering Vietnam's airspace, right there in the center there. There was this darkness, as it pertains to that flight, MH370. So based on reports coming out, Malaysia thought that okay, that pilot said good night and everything was okay. And then they thought okay, it basically Vietnam took over, in that the pilots had to recalibrate their coordinates so that, you know, they could enter into Vietnam's airspace. So Malaysian authorities thought that happened, and so they were no longer responsible, as it were, for that flight. And here it is now. Vietnam, on the other hand, did not receive that request in terms of, you know, we are coming into your airspace, so what's up, good night, whatever it is. And so there were two authorities now not communicating with each other at that point in time. Really were like, how I would say, they were like they were at bay. One thinking that it had left, and the other thinking that okay, it have not received or come into our airspace as yet. And so it was that little port in time that things just went awry, and basically, you know, everything went downhill after that. Transponders went off. Transponders are basically the things in the plane that's supposed to be communicating to the satellites or to the ground equipments that, you know, we are tracking you, the back and forth communication. As a matter of fact, those systems in the plane, based on reports that came out, all of them went dead at the same time. So the communication with the engines on the ground via satellite, that went dead. So it was just a whole sort of stuff happening at once, in that we could see everything that could go wrong went wrong at the right time, if you understand that lingo. And that plane basically, up till now, you know, not much. On this little island, Reunion Island and Madagascar and some places over there, close to that Indian Ocean, basically found some things that they say most likely could be part of that missing airline. So there's like a 90% chance, but as to the finding of the plane itself, that had, as I said before, 239 souls on board. Up till now, people, there is not the pinpointing as to where that plane is, as to directly where it is, and even much more, finding out what really went wrong. And so there may be a renewed effort in a new search. Because trust me, people, if it was you, your family, whoever it is, your friend, you would want some kind of closure. And so it is not just because it happened to people over there in that part of the world. We are all connected in one way, shape, or form. All right, 14 countries, 14 nationalities, I'm being told, affected. China being the most in terms of the numbers, but you know, we still want to know that something can be brought out of maybe a renewed search, and some kind of closure will be brought to this matter. A lot of speculations, a lot of conspiracy theories have gone on so far as to what may have happened. But unless and until that plane is found, then, you know, conclusively, nothing can be said in terms of conclusive manner. But I have my own, you know, analysis, my own perspective as to what may have gone wrong, just listening and digesting information. But, you know, my own will not be conclusive either. But there is a philosophy that goes by the name of the Occam Razor philosophy. Occam, O-C-C-A-M, Occam Razor philosophy. It basically says in a nutshell that to solve any problem in life, sometimes you have to look at the very smallest or the tiniest set of evidence or elements or substances or whatever it is that you can find as fact to help unravel very, very mysterious situations. So I think I would want to adopt that philosophy, that is the Occam Razor philosophy, in terms of me just trying to unravel what, you know, went on with that plane of 239 souls. All right, but again, your guess is as good as mine, and so we don't want to lay blame where blame is not due. But at least the family of these people really and truly needs closure indeed. All right, let me just see some of your comments here, Dominicans, before we move on to more matters here. Carla Guy, good evening to you. I saw your note. Yeah, and as I was saying before, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, there's a brand new hotel that opened up, so you can well imagine the economy of St. Vincent and the Grenadines in terms of the future. There's much that these people can look up to. Okay, let me just see any comments here so far in terms of before we move on. Yeah. All right, I think all is well by you guys. And so far, there's not much in terms of comments here. Yeah, so we are moving on indeed. All right, folks, in terms of just some more of our local issues here in Dominica, we heard, well, we got up to the news, the very unfortunate news Friday morning, that is Easter Friday, of a fatal accident that occurred between a motorcycle or scooter, as we call it in Dominica, and the car on that Goodwill stretch, that Goodwill Highway as it is called. I also saw photos this afternoon, I believe, of another accident, involving a car and a motorcycle, again in the Point Michelle area. And we all have to be concerned, people. Again, drivers, riders, there's supposed to be a particular kind of, caution that's supposed to be taken when we are using this road. This road is not supposed to be our bedrooms. Some of these accidents can be avoided, simple put. In particular, this stretch, this Goodwill stretch, stretching from all the way, well, from under the cliff, come all the way to the bridge, this Isilo Black Bridge. That's why I stretch it. Too many people, folks, too many people have basically lost their lives innocently or otherwise, on that stretch of road. Too many people. Too many people. And so again, I am calling on the drivers, the riders. We used to have a thing before where the police was clamping down on riders in particular, riding without their gear or gears in place. That was a hot item button thing in the past, but it is no longer. We are now seeing guys, seeing people, women as well. Some of you, behind these bikes, just in a sort of don't care fashion. And at the end of the day, when you get yourself into these kind of accidents, then you have no one else to blame but yourself. Sweet and short. We are not saying that a gear or headgear or whatever will save you 100% proof, but at least you are guarded in that regard, and you may not receive the full blunt of that accident because of a guard. Okay, so please, people, there's nothing to be rushing about in Dominic. Absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing, people, in terms of the rush that we see sometimes. And what I'm witnessing of late, especially under that Canefield Cliff, drivers are overtaking in really, really insane ways under that cliff. Before it used to be motorbike riders, they overtake you on your left. But of late I'm seeing vehicles now overtaking on the left as well. Because under that cliff have this, sort of excess road, as it were, on the left of certain drivers. And so some persons, if they can't pass on the right, then they look to the left. And so you attending or driving your vehicle, you now have to be extra cautious as to even you trying to avoid an accident. That's the reality of the situation. And so in my mind, in my humble opinion, I'm not prepared, I'm not in the know as to whether or what the authorities in that regard may want to do about the situation. But too many folks have lost their lives within that stretch of road. Too many people. And I know maybe the possible suggestion of a solution I'm going to bring about, some may agree, some may disagree, but it is what it is. I always speak my mind. And so I am suggesting to help curb that situation in terms of lives being lost. There ought to be some kind of looking into now putting some speed bumps in that area. Simple put. These pedestrian crossings that are, scattered over the place, these are not respected at all. And so I am suggesting, in order to save a life or two in the future, the transport authority here, the traffic department here, in collaboration with the powers that be, needs to come sit down around a table and decide what they do in terms of helping save a life or two. And to me, the only way I'm seeing now to help stem the tide is by placing down some speed bumps. I know it's going to slow down the traffic in and out of town, but that is exactly what we need, a slowing down of the traffic in and out of the city. So that is my prescription. As to whether it will be done, it is left to the authority, but it is what it is. Yeah, it is what it is. All right, Dominicans, as we moving on here, there was the situation of Ferdinand, you see that thing about making it a no overtaking zone? I'm telling you, that will be respected for a month. That will be respected for a month. That thing will not be respected. I can tell you that straight up. Okay? Traffic lights, as one person suggested, may do as well, but at the end of the day, we saw what used to happen at the old Bafesid Bridge before that wooden bridge, before it was, done away with. Persons, Dominicans normally used to run the red lights at time. I'm not talking about getting to stoplight, the yellow light, the orange light, the red light. Persons will run into red light at certain times. So unless I am suggesting we can put something physically to help stop the speed or help cool down that speed, then it wouldn't work for much too long. If I know my Dominican people very, very well, some of them that is, traffic lights will do, but it will not cut it. Sometimes you have police officers physically standing under the cliff, and you have these drivers just speeding by, no regard for other people's lives. Yeah. So as I said, my suggestion, I know it's going to be a hold down, but at the end of the day, you may want to hold down the traffic. That may just hold on your life in the process so that you can live a bit longer. Security cameras, as one person is suggesting there. Look, somebody even telling me, Simeon Joseph telling me, speed bumps wouldn't even stop these indiscriminate drivers and bikers. Well, yes, Simeon, I understand you. Some of them go on the edge or do whatever they have to do, but that to me is the more rational thing to do at this point in time. Okay? And there is, how you call it? I am saying that based on experience. If you look at the Massa Canefield area, where there are 2 speed bumps erected just in the school, in the vicinity of the school. Before and growing up, because that was my stomping ground, a lot of accidents used to happen on that piece of stretch as well. But with the school being there and the authorities putting in the safeguards in particular for the children, these accidents just, they really went on a downward spiral. And so there's evidence now to show that at least these things work in the interest of saving lives. Yeah? So I based my suggestion on that area, Massa Canefield area to be precise. Yeah? Where was I? Dominicans, we well remember the case of, and just like this MH flight 370, it is still an unsolved mystery to us in Dominica, whereby our young Kenisha Etienne just vanished from us in Dominica and up till today without a trace. So every time and anytime I get the opportunity and remember her, I always like to bring up her name so that that name remains constant in our memory. Yeah? And someday, through whatever means, then there will be some kind of closure to that case. What I can tell you from the grapevine is that the body of Kian Alexander, the alleged kidnapper, is no longer on ice. Okay? That body was on ice for some time, but I can confidently tell you that that body is no longer on ice, and that is in as much I will want to say on that matter where Kian is concerned for now. All right? But Kenisha, her memory still lives on, and we would still want to know exactly the situation that surrounded the brutal death and killing of Kian Alexander by a member of the Commonwealth of Dominica Police Force, then in the Heights of St. Joseph, on that Sunday afternoon or Saturday afternoon, because the information that was given then, it didn't add up then, and it is still not adding up today. All right? And so Kenisha Etienne and Kian Alexander, I think they both, the family, the relatives, both need some kind of independent investigation that needs to go on into their matters. I know the search have been called off, but we cannot just have things like that happening in our country and decide to move on. No, cannot be. Because I have a thing saying, the beds that we make today to lie, we will be lying in it, tomorrow. And I always add to it that the spirits that are associated with the cases that we allow to fester or we perpetuate, then the spirits that are associated with these cases, especially these bizarre and unsolved cases, they will continue to haunt us as a nation. And so maybe some of what we are going through today as a people, it is as a direct result of these spirits that are associated with these criminal acts, these criminal matters that have just gone out of the window in terms of they not being meted out with justice. And so there are a number of people who are crying, who are wailing inside. Their faces, their tears may be dried up now, but deep down within their heart, they are hurting inside. And so we well remember what's her name, Nurse Dalrymple. Every time this lady speaks, you can hear the tear in her heart, where her son was basically murdered in big broad daylight in Roseau, the city. Not in any country, not in any community, not in any, hideout city, right in the city. And yes, up till now, that case has gone cold. We know of this brother, what's his name, from the Wall House area, I believe, former prison officer. This brother again lost his son. And the alleged perpetrator, after having spent some time in prison, just walked. And there are several cases, people, in Dominica, this little rock we are on, that a lot of cases just evaporate. And some of us in Dominica, we have what Pierre Charles coined it, memoir pool, meaning foul brain. For those of you who can't understand the patois lingo, it's like we tend to forget very quickly. Yeah, but it is these engagements that normally will resurrect or unearth these kind of matters. Someone is saying that we will remember the killing of Monga. Yes, Monga Freeman. That he was a past classmate of mine. Monga and I went to the DGS together. A very prolific footballer in his days. And Monga was killed, brutally killed that is, on High Street by what many persons are suspecting to be a high-powered rifle. And the only persons who are allowed to have that kind of ammunition and rifle in their possession, it is the police. And we heard a name or two names floating around. But up till this day, the death of Monga Freeman remains a mystery. Yeah? There are many other cases. This brother from Biosh, the brother went to sea a morning, like he accustomed of doing, on his little dinghy, on his little boat to fish, to catch, for the day, whatever, A big, strapped man, Mr. What's his name now? His name, Vidal. Yeah, the name doesn't come now. Yeah, Dwayne Pinat. That was the brother's name I was trying to remember. Mr. Huron Vidal. This brother just disappeared, vanished. And he's like, back to normal. Back to normal programming. These people are just not remembered by the masses. And the list goes on and on and on and on and on, people. And so Dominica is much too small of a country for us to be having these sort of unsolved issues happening in our country. I know there are certain things that in life that will, always trouble us, always elude us. I know that in life, but in Dominica, too many cases, much too many cases. Yeah? Someone saying Cecilia Bedminster is reminding us about Dr. Kelsey as well. This brother who went fishing and he was found floating in the sea, and up till now, nothing in terms of a proper finding or proper investigation or proper word from the authorities as to what really transpired. And so the list goes on and on and on and on and on. Too many people. Much too many. But personally, people, if you ask me my humble opinion, me following that matter from my heart deep down, there is something within me that is telling me young Kenisha's body is laying somewhere, her remains rather, because we no longer find a body. Her remains is somewhere buried in the Warner area. That is what my heart is telling me. And so every time I think about her and I think about that situation, it really pains me. It pains me. My gut feeling is telling me Kenisha Etienne did not leave Warner. Her body is buried somewhere in the Warner area. That is what my gut feeling is. And if today, tomorrow, that gut feeling is wrong, trust me, I will come back here and say I apologize. Because some persons are still of the mindset that she may be alive somewhere. And this week, early up this week, Thursday to be precise, I saw something. Thursday of this week, I saw something. A matter of fact, let me be more specific with you. Thursday of this week, I saw someone with something that's more specific, and it really triggered much more that gut feeling of mine. And where did I see that person? In Wana. I saw someone with something at Wana this week. And when I saw that, it just bring back the memory of young Kenisha. And it just reinforced that gut feeling that I have had for a many, many long time. And so I know authorities here, they may not take it, hatically. But remember, the country, Dominica, a matter of fact, that made news in the region. Some persons outside of Dominica, further afield, they were even concerned. The microscope was on Dominica then as to how could a young child, 12 years old, just gone cold in terms of her appearance. And so the whole world was in Dominica. Dominicans, by and large, were astonished. The number of Dominicans that poured out their heart in terms of their help. Some persons contributed financially and otherwise to help. So the whole country, in a nutshell, was, and I am saying should still be, perplexed about young Kenisha's disappearance. But like the renewed energy, a renewed search for this flight, MH370, will there be a renewed search for the body of young Kenisha, for the remains of young Kenisha, and to get back down, go back down on that drawing board and bring everybody, include everybody that was part and parcel of her life, that must know something. Just like how you guys detained 7 Americans for some kind of a frivolous investigation. Mr. Valerie, will you have the guts as the acting commissioner of police, the ACP as you are called, to reopen that matter, reopen that search, reopen that investigation of young Kenisha, and let the chips fall where they may? I am convinced there are some persons who are walking the streets of Dominica today and their conscience is ticking as it pertains to that child's disappearance. I'm convinced about that. Kenisha was not water. When the sun struck it, it just evaporated. She was a human being, breathing, a healthy young child, moving about, going about her daily business. And she could not just have disappeared like that. And so I am suggesting, I'm saying, because I know the whole world is glued in these types of engagements that we have. And so the world must know, they must come to grips and terms with what has been happening in our country, whereby many unsolved mysteries, well, I shouldn't say mystery, because mystery putting it in a little higher bracket, because a mystery is a mystery unless it is unsolved or resolved. Many mysterious cases have gone so in Dominica and have not been solved. And so the world must know that. This French woman came to Dominica, Marion, whatever his name was, came to Dominica and vanished as a tourist visiting our shores. Up till this day, not a word as to what possibly may have happened. And that's a fact. And for some stretch of the reason, some people in Dominica want us to just forget about these things. It's like as if they never happened. And they say, in their defense, oh, I am bringing down the country. Am I bringing down the country to remember these lost lives? Am I bringing down the country to try to get justice for these people? In what way, shape, or form am I bringing back or bringing down this country, people, for keeping these people's memory alive and well? Tell me in what way. And so it only takes a guilty people, a guilty conscience, or guilty consciences to just want to bury things under the carpet. And so if you are one of them who wants to or choose to bury things under the carpet, then there are certain persons who are not cut or who are not made from that ilk. And so as long as I have breath, there are certain things that will always be front and center in the minds of Dominicans. Yeah? And so if you lose $10 or you misplace $10 or somebody come and pick up your $10, whatever it is, you want to know what happened to that $10 of yours. You want to know. Somebody take it, you misplaced it, you win for it somewhere, whatever it is. But you want closure. And so how much more is a life worth much more than $10 that some of you are prepared to kill for? Kian Alexander did not deserve to die. Brutally, that is, in the heights of St. Joseph, how he died. And so this free fit cutlass story, it cannot, it did not, and it will not add up. Free fit cutlass is a sword. That's it. I have never seen free fit cutlass in this country, Dominica. Never. No farmer, nobody dealing with cutlass and tools ever can come and tell me about a free fit cutlass. And so when you guys said Kian Alexander had in his possession a free fit cutlass chasing after or rushing at you guys, I am saying that was a lie. It was a lie. It was a blatant lie. It was a lie to cover up you guys' misdeeds in the heights of St. Joseph as to what really transpired with Kian's body. And I showed you guys the videos of how Kian's body was being handled in terms of some of his officers taking him out from the bush. Very disrespectful way, very dishonorable way that they went about dealing with this man's corpse. And so in life he was disrespected, and there was much more disrespect in death. And you guys know that. And so these mumbo jumbo stories that came out of this guy's death doesn't cut it. And as we said and keep saying, in any normal country where the rule of law and order means something, then some of you guys who are acting as police officers, you would have gone packing already. A proper investigations be summoned, be held, and let the chips fall where they may thereafter. But Dominica is not so. Dominica is who you know, or who know you, a matter of fact. That is where you will get justice or not, or if you will get justice or not. So Kian's body, as I said before, for those of you tuning in now, I can confirm it is no longer on ice. Kenisha is nowhere to be seen. And so I want to thank everybody who continue to have at least her in our hearts and prayer. Yeah. And that investigation, people, that needs to go on. It is not no rocket science. There's no rocket science. At least, as I said before, let us start with the Occam razor philosophy. Let us start with what we have as a fact, and let us work our way from there to unravel, and then the truth will be revealed. Let us work with what we know as a fact. And there are many facts, may not be much, but there are a few facts about that story, Kenisha in particular, that I believe was not attended to how they should have been attended to. And so instead of harassing 7 American citizens, instead of harassing Dominicans who speak up for their rights on a daily basis, instead of victimizing people, instead of brutalizing people as they are prepared to exercise their democratic rights, these are the cases and situations that you guys, the police force I'm talking about now, Valerie and others need to attend to with a certain level of alacrity. Until and unless you guys do that, and the public can see a genuine interest on your part to help solve these things, trust me, it will not augur well for us as a people. And I cannot say it any better. And so Dominicans today, or yesterday it was Kenisha and her people. Yesterday it was Kian and his people. Tomorrow, it not may, it will be you and your people. And so you'd want someone to stand in the gap for you, at least to say something on your behalf. Let us not be a selfish and evil people that will see no evil and hear no evil, when evil is pervading all around us. Let us wake up from that state. Let's wake up. Yeah, let's wake up, people. All right. Let me just take a check of the time, Dominicans, because we know time flies very quickly. 7:11. So we have some more time to go, at least 49 more minutes to go. Yeah? Dominicans, in terms of an update now, already 7 Americans that was harassed and was detained by the Gestapo gang, I call them, of the Commonwealth of Dominica Police Force. These persons are back, as you should know by now, at their homes in America. But that case, I can tell you, is by no stretch of the imagination done. It is not done. And so I can alert you of the fact that the U.S. State Department was briefed on the matter, and they are looking into the matter. Also, the Department of Justice is looking into these people's matters as well, because communication or information was shared from them to these departments, and so they are looking into as to what they will do about it. Then your guess is as good as mine, as I always say. But for a fact, they are looking into the matter. All right? Because it cannot be foreigners are prepared to come to our shores to spend their hard-earned dollars. They should not be harassed. They should not be spied upon. They should not be followed because of who they associate with in this country or who they choose to associate with in this country. That is not democratic in nature. And so by every stretch of our imagination, we have to chant it down. We have to condemn this stuff very, very rigorously. We have to condemn it. The police in Dominica cannot be left as a Totomakut state or a Totomakut gang to lead us down into a Totomakut state. No. They cannot be left as this Gestapo gang that I call them to just do what they want on behalf of whoever they're working on. They cannot. The police shouldn't be a law unto themselves. They are citizens as well, and they're supposed to be laws that overrides everything. So it cannot just be one law for you, one law for me, one law for... No, it cannot be. And so that foolishness about immigration matter wasn't settled, and you have to bring them down to the station to... That is just crap. It cannot cut it. It cannot cut it, people. But, as I keep saying, the Gestapo gang of Hitler, they will all hunt down and be brought to justice, because they will never stay young all the days of their lives. You guys will never stay wearing your police cap and your police boots with your batons and battlefield weapons on your side all the days of your lives. So you have to be very, very careful how you carry out your duties today, because tomorrow it will come back to bite you. And so everything that you do, it is recorded. So don't think you are high up there today on your high horse and can disrespect people, can take away their rights, can trample on their rights, can bring them down to naught as it pertains to their humanity. And you would want to live in a peaceful society in your twilight years. No. Some of these people were hunted down, and 80-something years plus, 90-something years plus, some of them spend the rest of their lives in prison, serving time for their crimes. And so that is just a warning to all of you, especially in the police force, who choose to do certain things today because of you are serving your political masters. It will come back to bite. And I am saying, and a lot of persons have agreed, it was only because of Atherton Martin that these people chose to stay by in terms of their stay here at his cottages on the way to Girodale, that they were hunted down, they were spied upon. The bus that brought them in for questioning on Sunday was seen in the neighborhood 2 or 3 times on Saturday prior. And so when I equate our country Dominica to that of what is happening in these undemocratic countries around the globe, including Russia and others. Some persons say, Lofty, you're going a little too far. But I cannot, out of good conscience, not go there. Because that is how these things started in these parts of the world. And today, it is like power on steroids, unrestrained use of terror on a people. But it did not start it so. It started by the spying. It started by the opening of files on these people. Everybody, anyone, any organization that did not support or sing from the hymn sheet of the cabal, of the regime, the rogue regime. That is where it started. And it got progressively worse. Yeah, it got progressively worse. And that is where we have to step in now before it gets to that cancerous state. We have to nip it in the bud. Be prepared to nip it. Yeah, be prepared to nip it. And so that is why I make it my point of duty, people, to come and stand for my people, stand with my people every Saturday just about that time. I make it an appointment. I set things aside. Who is speaking for the people? We are hearing the authorities speaking. We are hearing the authority side of things. Who is speaking for and on behalf of the people? Who? Just who? And so the police sometimes they think I may be hard on them. But yes, I am hard on you guys all the time. Because why? Without you guys propping up that kind of regime that we have on our backs in Dominica, we would have had a better governance system in the country. So those of you honest, hardworking, trustworthy, police officers, male or female, that you know deep down you are not part and parcel of the Gestapo gang, you can give yourself a pat on the back. So my comments are not directed at you in no way, shape, or form. But I'm really speaking and drilling down on the persons who are part of that gang, who choose to take orders from, not from the hierarchy, but straight from the political directorate, well, through the hierarchy. And have persons' rights as nothing. These are the people that I'm speaking to directly. And you know yourselves. And so when you guys see me in Roseau, wherever it is, I feel the vibes. There's an energy, there's a synergy that comes with it. And so just by your energy, I know some of you who are the part of the Gestapo gang. One of them met me by, I wouldn't name the place, the business place. I don't want to bring any unnecessary attention to any place of business in Dominica. And that is good practice for journalism as well. You don't want to do that undue attention. But one of these Gestapo gang members, and he know himself, he may be watching now, met me by a business place about 4 years ago. We were right up by the cashier area, cashing stuff. He was in front, me in the line. I was at the back, directly at the back of him. And when he heard me speak, because my voice is very distinct, and I do shudder my words, I speak. He turned around and he said, oh, you, if it was in another country, I shoot you. If it was in another country, I shoot you. That was what one of the Gestapo gang members said to me. And so I humbly responded to him, I'm glad you qualified that if it was in another country. And he went about his daily business. He went about his business. And that is why I tell you, the energy sometimes, I feel it by me speaking my mind, by me speaking on your behalf. There is the wrath that comes with it. And so it is not as a result of, it is not just because I speak. It is because I speak the truth and it touched a nerve or nerves sometimes. But, as I said already, this flesh of mine, it has already made up its mind to go meet its maker, whoever it is, whenever the appointed time is. That is the resolve I have made already. And so whenever you guys choose to eliminate the flesh, put it aside, that's fine. I'm ready. Just remember, you have to answer not to me, but to someone higher than me. So I am very much convinced that the country in which I live today, and the reason why I speak today in my country, there are situations that abound, but that will not prevent me from speaking truth to power. It will not. And even if you choose to take that body, the spirits that are associated with my speech, it will continue. And that is what you cannot kill. Mark 10:28 says it very well. So it's on that note now that I want to draw our attention to. Yeah? The police in Dominica. They have what they do as part of some of their work. Yeah? And I'm telling you that from within, because it is a fact. There is what is known as the political desk in Roseau at the headquarters. And that, you can take that to the bank. Bernice Coffee, there's no report to make. My reporting is to people like you. I am not going to report anything to any corrupt gang. Nah. They report to people like you, and that's it. And that report is already registered above. So there's no reporting to earthly men who are more corrupt than even the man who made that statement. Nah. As I was telling you before, There is what is known in the police force, in the headquarters in Roseau, as the political desk, or a political desk. And let me tell you what that political desk is all about. That political desk, it is for attending to matters, especially for people who are not as part of the cabal. So that political desk, I'm being told, it is for people who to monitor, to scrutinize, to harass if needs be, to how you call that, bug your telephone, to ensure whatever is done to people who are not singing from the rogue regime's hymn sheet, to have them under serious surveillance. And some of you take umbrage when I tell you that we are living on a parallel track to what is going on in Russia. You don't believe me, but I don't just say things that I don't know, people. You know the number of police officers that have confided in yours truly and said to me, Mr. Loftus-Durand, I am telling you, your telephone is bugged. So be very careful what you say and who you entertain via your telephone. And so this song says, 100 Frenchmen can't be wrong. You don't see smoke without fire. And so I'm telling you, that goes on in real time in your country. And so that political desk that I spoke of before, it is manned, I'm being told, by some members of the special branch. So you see some of those that run up and down behind the man who sits on the chair. These are some of them who, man, that is their job. That is what they get paid for. And so some person's name were called as to who are some of these people that they are especially interested in on that political desk in Dominica. It's like there's a list. You see the same way they have their list to share their ham and their turkey and their trinkets. There's a list as well. Certain persons' names are on that list. And that list is under the control of persons who man that political desk. So when you call the station and make a report, the people sometimes tell you, some of the officers tell you, they don't have manpower. There's not enough manpower to move to attend to you. Some of these guys are busy monitoring things they should not be monitoring. Just this week, Tuesday it was? Yes, Tuesday. Tuesday it was. There was a fire that got itself on the way in Virgin Lane. I reported there on it for like 15 minutes. The lady where that fire in the vicinity engulfed, she said to me, Lofty, I am tired, I am fed up of making reports, calling the police for their assistance as it pertains to one of my sons who has a mental issue. The lady is a stone throw away from the police headquarters in Roseau. Virgin Lane, just in the area of Convent High School, that area in a track in there. And the woman is telling me, whenever she calls the police for help with that mentally challenged, well, not child, a son or a man, they keep telling her they don't have vehicle or they cannot respond because they don't have enough manpower. And it's not me saying that to you people. I'm just reporting that. Now, take that and resonate that. Make that multiply now to a number of other situations across the country. And we will now be able to analyze what we are dealing with in terms of the work that our police is not doing what they're supposed to do for and on behalf of the people of Dominica, whom they took an oath to serve. But they are busy monitoring, scrutinizing persons who they think or feel are not part of the regime and must be constantly under surveillance. Leroy James, thanks for logging in. Yeah? And so when next any one of you guys call the police for something and they give you that mumbo jumbo answer about vehicle or manpower, tell them, send one of the guys that are part of the special branch sitting at the political desk doing nothing other than surveillance. A matter of fact, if you're free to tell them, so tell them, Loftus Dura said, you heard that from him, send one of the guys who are sitting at the political desk, as it is called, to attend to the matter. Yeah. These guys, as part of their mission as well, do you guys know what they call transcribing of information? Do you guys know what is that? Well, for those of you who don't know, let me break it down to you. You see how I am talking to you now? How we are having that conversation? The job of these on the political desk, it is to take my words and put it into writing. That's what you call transcribing. It is to listen to people when they call the radio and something is said that, you know, they think or feel is not part of the agenda, the corrupt agenda. Put that in writing, because everything is recorded. Everything is recorded, but they want to make sure they put it in writing. So just in case they need to come to harass you, they have it in written form. And that is some of the job of our men who took an oath to serve and protect. We are moving on, Dominicans. I need to get to some of your comments. New Gen Thomas, right? 1979 80s deja vu for me. Rosie Jajak, accident up in Virgin Lane. They moving like a what? I do get that name only put there. Dave Bertrand says they don't have enough manpower with a question mark. See how many of them were parading and marching the streets last week. Well, talking about parading and marching the streets last week. That's another story by itself. Marcelin says here, shameless, Don's police officer who don't what Marcelin? Even know what their oath says. Earl Francis says, tell them to make my day. Marcelin says here again, they will tag transcribe mine. Nobody cares. Brother Vico joining in says, good evening. Well, good night, bro. Brother Vico, good night to you as well, my brother. Hope everything is okay. Dominic, can see how I was talking to somebody this week, and it was noted. And I only bring facts. I pride myself on facts. You had Ioli Blanc as premier. We had all our past leaders. All our past leaders. Okay? Compare all of them. And that's the only time I will mention Roosevelt Skerritt's name, is to make that point. Compare all the past leaders and put them alongside in terms of security detail around them, with them. Put them alongside Roosevelt Skerritt. And be very, very honest and tell me what you come up with. I'm waiting. I just giving you guys, some time to ponder. Put all of them combined. Ioli Blanc, O.J. Seraphine, who served, Patrick John, Mamo, Edison, Rosie, Pierre Charles, just name them. Put all of them together. Combine all of them together. That is how serious that situation is. So put all of them in one bag and put Skerritt to stand up alone and try to figure out in terms of the security detail, and consciously tell me now what you guys can come up with. Chalk and cheese, Duveni, chalk and cheese is an understatement. Chalk is with something, cheese is with something. It is nothing compared. Nothing, absolutely nothing compared. How in a day of today, 2024 era, a prime minister of a country that says his people love him needs to be walking around wherever he goes with a sort of hive, a sort of beehive, security detail. That says something, my brother. I'm not asking you, I'm telling you. The man, I'm being told, have to go to a church service, be it funeral or otherwise. I wouldn't call them Gestapo for now. Some of these officers have to, prior, go into the physical building and search a church. A place that's supposed to be a house of God. You get me right? I know in song Bob Marley say, I feel like bombing a church. But still, we have never heard in our local jurisdictions of church being bombed or guns and bullets making lapid way, as it were, in a church. And so if you as a prime minister cannot feel comfortable enough in a church, it says something. A church, people, a church. It tells you the state of the man. It tells you the mental faculties of the man. It tells you how that man lives. Humble Henry says what? Isn't that protocol? That is not protocol, my brother. Straight up. So don't come here and make any excuse for that kind of paranoia mindset. That is not protocol. That is living in a world of your own. That is not living in the world of the ordinary people. That is not living in the world of your people. No. Obviously, your security needs to be top-notch, adhered to, that's fine. We ain't talking about that. But as compared to all these men that served, women as well, who served, you alone top them by your actions alone. Mamo, a woman, you a man, supposed to have 2 balls in your leg. Mamo was a woman. Mamo used to be in the market. I saw Mama walking in Roseau among a people with just this little Paul guy, what's his name? McIntyre Paul. Adelaide, help me there, please. Are you on the live somewhere there? Her brother. Simple. In a beautiful country with your people. Don't talk about Pierre Charles. Pierre Charles was, moving around, going his daily business when Pierre Charles wasn't on quote-unquote normal duty on a Saturday and a weekend. The man used to leave Grand Bay, travel all around Dominica and his pickup, stop and buy bread by Suki and have conversations. Pierre Charles, I saw him how many times with my eyes. Well, don't talk about Rosie. Rosie was, some person thought Rosie was to lapse, but the point I'm making, these people were people's people. And that is one hallmark. That is one barometer. That is one test. If you are truly the leader of a people. So you mean to tell me, Adi says yes, Marky they call him, nickname. You mean to tell me, you're going to come inside your home people there. You are supposed to be the head of your house. And you want to have a camera on your chest, a thing in your head, a gun by your side, and it's your children, your wife, your cousins, your relatives, your people that is inside the house with you. That is a level of paranoia. And so spread it out now to the country. If you cannot put some level of trust in your people, it says something, my friend. If you cannot trust them with your life, it says something. And so this kind of extravagant lifestyle you are living off the backs of Dominicans now It cannot cut it, people. It will not cut it. When you move in, it's like you're moving like these kind of guys in these dictatorial countries you don't know in which pickup they are. 3 and 4 SUVs. Burning the country's resources. For what? And a poor lady will call for her mental son that is giving issues. And the same people will tell you they don't have manpower. And when they have more than the manpower running behind you everywhere, making themselves pass like an the brother, the same brother I'm speaking of, I used to cut my hair in a brother's shop. And once when that man was making his entrance, while I wasn't in the shop, I was only told after the fact what transpired. And I told the brother straight up, my bro, if I was in your shop that day, you would have to put me out. You would have to physically put me out because I won't be going out. Because that to me is just unheard of. The man who sits in the chair was coming to cut his hair in a particular barber shop in Roseau. And when some of his members of the Gestapo gang came in, they look under the chairs, behind the mirrors, in the bathroom, under the curtain, behind the TV set, lift up sofa, move the rug, go under the sink, look in the shaving set. For what? And then, added to that, basically told the brother, the owner of his place, whilst the man is there, he cannot attend to nobody else. Nobody else should come in at the time. My friends, that is a level of paranoia. And so I told the brother when he was reporting that to me after the fact, I said, my brother, if I was in your shop that day, then you would have to physically move me as a customer. Because I'm going nowhere. I came to do my business, and unless my business is done, I will go at my own free will. But the shop had to be cleared for the man to make his entrance, my friend. And that is the gravity of the situation we're facing. And so that is why a lot of persons who know about life, know about living, know about being contented, know about the psyche of how human beings operate, they are saying that is not normal. That is not normal. And so I am not wishing anything on the brother, but as they say, the way you make your bed, so you lie. And so if what you are doing is not normal, my friend, then I don't think it can augur well. In the future, cannot augur well. And so mark those words of mine. 30th of March 2024. If I'm long gone, the ants will come to tell me. But I hope and pray that I live to see what I am prophesying about. Cannot augur well. Not in that state of paranoia. Dominicans, we have to go. in just a bit, 8 minutes. But the journey is always a very good journey that we travel from 6 to 8 every Saturday. But sometimes you just have to, just have this convo as well. Now, someone said about the marching in Roseau by some of the officers. I think there is something that I will be showing you next week. Yes, next week. As it pertains to that whole scenario, that matching vibes and police vibes. There's something I'll be showing you next week. We don't have time for it. And obviously we'll try to put it in context with the reality and what was going on Thursday. Those drillings and those rudiments happened on Thursday of this week. So we'll be sharing that with you guys next week. All right. Folks, unfortunately, there's no CV program tomorrow. There's no Civic Vibes program tomorrow. We basically are giving you guys a break, as they say, all work and no play makes Jack or Jacqueline a dull boy, a dull girl. So we're giving you guys a much needed break tomorrow from the hardcore kind of information. So enjoy your Easter Sunday, that is. Do whatever you have to do. So the 6 to 8 hour period will not be on tomorrow with Alvin and myself and the team. Okay? So please take note of that. Mr. Julius Sampson, good evening to you, my brother. Hope all is well. But just before we wrap up, some of you saw the Dory Drygo. Good evening to you and all of those of you who are there. Dory is a very good brother. Thank you very much, brother, in terms of your works for and on behalf of your country. Yeah, compliments is not enough. Yeah, we all saw this. Should I say? Well, this wasn't comedy. This was serious situation. We all saw the video, the short clip of where the DPSU, the Dominica Public Service Union, was having their meeting, a private meeting among public officers. Sounds like an oxymoron, right? A private meeting among public officers. But it was supposed to be an indoor meeting. When, again, to categorize it, one of the Gestapo gang members showed up. So which means to say that not even in your country you can have or supposed to have a private meeting. Although it was announced as a private meeting, one of the Gestapo gang members still found their way trying to like an iguana blend in the crowd of people who were in that private setting to listen and to hear and to spy as to what was going on among a union and its membership. And that says a lot, people. So we saw when that member was spotted and he was asked to leave, and the people basically harassed him out of the building. That is how ridiculous it is. That is how nasty it can get. Okay? Matthew Nelson says it can be private when you're public. Well, my friend, Mr. Nelson, there was nothing public about that meeting. If Mr. Later wanted to have that meeting for the public, he would invite the public. Or he would have it in the yard of the DPSU. Or he would have it in under the arch, like he did some time back. Or he would have it on the big front. Or he would have it somewhere in the public. Okay? The DPSU building is a private building. And so if you, Mr. Nelson, choose to have a birthday party at the DPSU, the confines of these walls, that, whatever it is supposed to be private, unless and until you decide to open it up to the public. This is not a public building. So we just want to just square up matters. So Thomas Layton and his members or staff or whoever cannot be having a meeting inside there for police to just barrage the police and say, no, we want to hear, no. And so they were all within their rights to put him out and said, whatever it is that must be made public, then you guys will know from the public's end, the PR's end. Yeah? It was for union members only. That is what I understood. All right, many more comments coming in as we close, but we have to go in just a bit. What else I have to tell you guys before I leave? There's a documentary coming out very soon that I want to give kudos to, Mr. Ashton Lugie, better known as Wackers in Dominica. This brother and I will walk the gardens, well, the garden, that is, the botanical garden, on Tuesday of this week. Tuesday or Wednesday? Anyway, Wednesday of this week. And with the vast of knowledge, with the vast of experience, with the vast of information that this brother has, as someone who worked in the gardens for some time, I recorded some of that. He allowed me, let me say it, let me be politically correct. He allowed me to record some of that knowledge. And so you'll be seeing in a documentary form pretty soon some of the things that went on in the gardens before and still going on now, especially as it pertains to the naming of the trees. I believe that that is a project for posterity, in that a lot of persons, including adults, don't have an idea of the trees in the gardens. We don't have information. And I even, asked the brother, to me a project that's supposed to be on the way already is at least a name tag on some of the more important trees in the gardens. And so he agreed. So let us hope after that documentary done by Wackers and myself, then the forestry is mainly in charge now, / the government, they will see it fit to at least take one recommendation by putting at least a name tag, that's a name tag, and a little write-up on the more important trees in the garden. Wackers told me that, he showed me a tree that a young lady planted in 81, and that tree is big. Most of you know the Seaman's, I think, is a Seaman daughter. She has some kind of high position in New York as an officer or some person in charge or the chief or whatever it is. But we saw a documentary of her. She planted a particular tree, a neem tree. And I said, wow. So a lot of folks, that is information that we have to keep. That is information we have to treasure. Because when people like Wackers and others, go to the great beyond, they will be going with their vast information, and we'll just be left, in a vacuum. So I appreciated the brother very much for at least spending some time in terms of a walkthrough, a tour in the garden. So I learned a lot, and I hope when that documentary is out pretty soon, you will see it on social media all about, that you will learn from the information as well. But folks, that is it for me in terms of our time tonight. I want to thank you. Those have been enough. I just see my friend Gina signing in. Gina, good evening to you. Those have been enough. Brother Pat Corbett and others. South as well. The east and the west, okay? And I always remember the center as well. So thank you very much, Dominicans, for your eyes and ears. we'll be talking some stuff next week. All right. There's a big number. There's a big number from Brother Nasio. Yes. There's a big number from Nasio coming out very soon.